Good morning, afternoon, evening, beautiful people. I thought I'd just jump on here real quick and show you guys how I get into the process of making my beautiful wreaths that you might have purchased a kit for, or you might be really curious about, so I've showed you this video. How I get into the process of it is I get really grounded and really centered in my body and in my intention. The practice of wreath weaving has been around since immemorial. It is one of the most ancient practices used across ancient Egypt, Mesopotamia, used in Celtic cultures throughout Europe. Even the Vikings had a form of wreaths which they would create to cultivate this intense intention they had for either a battle or a harvest or a new year or a celebration of some kind that they wanted to immortalize in the form of this wreath, this ever-expanding, never-ending circle that we fit into. So you don't have to put it over your head, but just imbuing this wreath with your intention of what you want to put into it as you begin to figure out what you want to put into it, potentially writing it down or just sitting with yourself for a moment, contemplating it. And then we're going to get into the crafting aspect of actually making it. And that's a process of firstly intuitively grabbing your secateurs and deciding what you want to work with for this piece. And I've got, you can't really see it in front of me, I've got a whole heap of different materials that you may or may not have. Whatever you have to work with is fine. I make my wreath bases from ivy vines, but you can also use spruce. You can also use different forms of, whatever vines you've got. And then I find what my base materials are going to be. These are the materials that are going to form the external, the outermost baseline portion of your wreath, because you're really crafting from the foundation up. So I want this to be at the very base of my wreath. Everything else that I put on top of it, well, will come on top of it. Self-explanatory. And the way that I craft, the way that I wreath, is very much allowing the materials to do what it is that they will do. So I don't really use cordage unless it's absolutely necessary. And I just kind of thread where it feels right, the pieces onto my material. So this is the first piece that's going to go on, and it's going to sit there like that, kind of creating this first lovely whimsical shape that's coming off my wreath. And then you can choose whether or not you want the design of your wreath to be a baseline design where it moves across the wreath as base, like that, and it's just a one portion of your wreath and the rest is beautiful exposed vines. Or you can choose to have two sections which mirror each other, which kind of come one up this side, so they're kind of the same and looking at each other, creating that balance and that structure. Or you can have an asymmetrical wreath, which just kind of works as like you have a piece here and a piece there, and you're kind of mirroring that they can be completely different, and that all depends on your taste and style, and also is determined by your intention. Are you bringing more harmonized balance into your life? Are you bringing more strangeness? Are you ushering in an era of breaking your personal perceptions about beauty and just allowing yourself to go wild with it? What are you calling in will determine what you craft. I'm a big believer in crafting and in creation, having the power to create change in our lives, which is the foundation of why I do all the things that I do. It's about bringing this transformation into your life. So once we've got that base established, we're going to look for more pieces that we want to create the next level and layer of our wreath. For me right now, what that looks like, and I'm crafting right now again slightly differently because I'm crafting with the intention of a beautiful sister in mind who is not myself. So these are not, I'm not working with my own intention, I'm working with a projected intention. And that's saying wheat. So we grab the wheat or whatever your next layer is. Again, these are things that are moving away from your wreath that are going to give it this beautiful layering effect. And what we're doing is we're threading and feeding the materials through the base of the wreath. Now, if you have a wreath that's been made for you, in the sense of the foundation's been laid, you're just working with what's been threaded. If you haven't got a wreath made and you're going to make your wreath, I recommend twining it quite a few times over so that you've got lots of nice loopies to work with, because it's through these bits where the vines connect where we find strong footholds to place other pieces. Yeah, they really are like footholds. If you're any kind of climber, you know what I'm talking about, or even someone who likes to walk, you know what I'm talking about. And then just kind of letting them sit where they want to sit. Don't worry about bits coming out the ends. There's plenty of time for the perfectionist and the cleaner upper to come in later. Ooh, that's actually something I'd love to mention at this point, actually, nice and early, is that at some point, maybe very early on, maybe later on, depending on your personality, this little voice will come into your head that will tell you all kinds of crazy things that aren't true. And I call this voice the madness maker, the crazy monkey, the shut up and leave me alone in nature. And that is the voice that you really need to watch out for, because it will tell you that whatever you're creating is not good enough. It's not pretty enough. It's not whatever enough. And that's the same voice. It says the same things about you as a human being. And now, as we all know, this voice is a liar. So we don't listen to this voice. We tell it to take its place in the closet, or actually noticing it, bringing it to the light of your attention, saying, thank you for sharing your opinion, and leave me alone. And whenever during the process, if you're doing this alone, if you're doing this with a friend, whenever that voice comes up, just kindly telling it, suck yourself. And if you are doing it with a friend, or even if you're alone, stating it, just being like, yep, getting a visitation. The madness maker is in the station. And that will just let everybody know that you're on the same page, that this crazy human psyche that we have has everybody, and that none of us have to listen to it. So just as you're playing around with your wreath, just beginning to get all the pieces of it, the beginning pieces of it in there, and you can cut off the loose threads if they are making it hard for you to continue crafting. Again, not necessary at this stage, but they were just in my way, so I did. Yeah, at this point, this is what my corner is looking like. I'm quite a fan of delicate minimalism and also of intensity, so they work. Strangely enough, you wouldn't think, but they work hand in hand. So I'm just going to keep creating and going with this. Where are we at right now? Yeah, we're at the 8-minute mark, lovely people. So this is plenty along in my video. The whole process continues like this. I like to start on one side and then move my way over to the other, or down the base, or however you're doing it. I find it's easier to lay the foundation for one portion and then go with that, and then to form the next piece as you get into it. Sometimes trying to move too far ahead stops the creative process from unfolding. It can actually hinder you more than help you. So if you're a person like me who has the need and desire to plan, just put it to the side with the madness maker and get crafting and just get going and let it flow. And have fun with it. This is a fun process, and I hope that you really enjoy it. Big love to you all. See you soon.